The present priests here have never stood for anything meaningful. They got a perfect record for that, the priesthood. And whatever they told or instructed to do or repeat, that's what they do, which is always on the wrong side of truth, because the men that they're supposed to teach, who they are not teaching, have now reversed it through political stratagem and got the priests intimidated, like some cowards. They walking around here, well, the minister didn't say that, or the prince didn't say that, or the crown sisters didn't tell me to say that. They got some sisters telling them what to do. If anyone is weak, it's the present priesthood. They have not stood for universal guidelines, laws. They have not stood in proper judgment. They have not even interceded for those who were judged falsely, those who were not represented properly. They have never instructed the people, never, not once. And they were given at least one day a week to teach. One day a week. They had more teaching time than anybody. And all they did was sing songs. That's all they did. Like they were in some type of church or revival meeting. Christian Hebrews. That's what I call them. They had pictures of idols in their house, their idol. They never taught this basic law that could have corrected so many things, brought so much revelations of evil against people and so much joy against people that were falsely accused. It reads on this wise: one witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity. Iniquity is something that you do wrong. For you all that may not understand the word. I don't know. We don't use the word iniquity in 2013. This is 1613 English translation of the Bible. It says, one witness, you understand that, shall not rise up against a man or a woman for anything evil that they did or say, or for any sin, in any sin that he or she sins, at the mouth of two witnesses, or at the mouth of three witnesses, shall the matter be established. So you got to have two or three witnesses to even accuse you of something. And then as far as due process, they've never even demanded that you have due process. They've never demanded of anybody to say, look, you have a right to face your accuser. They never stood for the things that would make a people, a nation, just and sound, and the people feel safe. You got to have two or three witnesses, and you have to have the right to face your accuser. If a false witness or a liar rise up against any man to testify against him that which is wrong. Because you got some people that are just lie on you because they don't like you or because they're evil or they're possessed by the spirit of a liar. So if a false witness, now these things are recorded in Scripture, and I know that I'm reading from the book of Deuteronomy, the 19th chapter, the 15th verse, to the 20th verse. And people that will hear this, I want you to look at it yourself, because this is not no trick Bible that I have. When you open up yours, it'll say the same thing. It says, then both the men between whom the controversy is, between both of them, it says, shall stand before the judgments of God, before the priest and the judges, who shall be in those days. In these days, the priest had to be involved in everything to make sure that the judges wasn't corrupt. Because somebody can have a corrupt judge up there. They can have somebody that's swinging in their favor for some reason. You had to put him in check. Because we know that a gift blinds the eyes in perverse judgment. That's written in the scriptures because it's always been those who try to do things and slide out of it through influence. It says, and the judges shall make a diligent inquiry. That means that it has to be an investigation because you're dealing with somebody's life. These are life and death situations. You can't just say, well, we know he did it by the Spirit. What spirit? Your spirit? You can't accuse nobody by the Spirit. You got to come up with facts, evidence, undeniable things to convict somebody when their life is on the line. Even in a court system, they got what they got, the Miranda Act, where you got at least a right to face your attorney. I mean, to have an attorney of your choice, if nothing but a state's attorney, you're supposed to be allowed to at least get one phone call. You have the right to remain silent because anything you say can be held against you until you get an attorney. That's in what we call the world. How much more in the righteous cycles of the God of creation who set forth the laws? It says, you shall make a diligent inquiry. You got to investigate when you're dealing with somebody's life. It says, and behold, if the witness be a liar or a false witness, and have testified falsely against his brother, if we find out you lying now, that you done perjured yourself, it says, then shall you do unto him as he had thought you was going to do unto his brother. Whatever you thought he was going to get, if you thought he was going to get a whooping, a pumpkin head, if you thought he was going to get 40 lashes, banishment, the electric chair, slapped around, hey, then if you thought that was going to happen to him, that's what happened to you. It says, if you shall do unto him as he had thought he would have done unto his brother, so shall you put evil away from among you. And when people hear this, they're going to say, wait a minute, I can't just be lying now no more. He didn't steal that from me. You know, I better get that straight. It says, and all those who shall remain shall hear and fear, and shall henceforth commit no more any such evil among you. Because people going to hear. People going to hear about that. They're going to say, hey, they ain't playing. If somebody is a child molester and it's proven, if it's proven, hey, we can't take you out because we know we ain't in control like that. We may want to take you out, and that eventually may happen, but we can throw you out. And all of those who don't throw you out and who don't pay no attention to the legitimate cry of the people, you just as guilty as the sodomite, you just as guilty as the pedophile, you just as guilty as the criminal because you aiding and you abetting that. If your mama rob a bank and she come and hide in your house and the FBI is on her tail and they busted in your house, you was aiding and abetting your mama. They don't care if it was your mama. You going to jail with your mama. And likewise, if you go to your mama's house after you robbed the bank and you done gave her some money, say, hey, mama, you ain't got to pick up them food stamps today, or here's $50, go get a drink, or whatever. She aiding and abetting. She going to jail. They don't care if it's your mama. They don't care who it is. And even more so, in immorality, you know there's some pedophiles up in here, priesthood, but you ain't moving on them. And then the priest that move on him, you looking at him like he crazy. And I'm saying that you all know my position when it comes to these low-life scumbags, skunk, dog, snake, pedophiles that have molested the children through the years. You protect the pedophiles, but yet and still, what about the victims and the families of the victims and the irrevocable damage, that psychological damage that they've done to their victims? You don't give a care about them. It's just that your government official, yeah, some of y'all in the government, and let me hear you all talking about this ain't true, and I'm going to flash your face on the screen and pull your X-file out. Because as a priest, I know everything that's taking place and have taken place. I ain't trying to bust everybody, but I'm trying to kill a spirit. And the spirit is the spirit of perversion. You're not going to turn out all these children up in here. You getting turned out. Turned from our midst. The day is coming. You ain't going to be able to hide. And all those that's aiding and abetting, you all going too. Watch and see what your fate be. Because you going. You ain't heard the message? Because of who bringing the message? But the place we call hell, America, we call that hell, Babylon. They still put up signs saying that a child molester live here, a pedophile live here. The community is notified, but you don't care. You let pedophiles have businesses, walk around, be a part. You party with them, you eat with them, you laugh with them. You bless them, you sit back, and you hold conversation like you all right. You done rationalized evil. You got the people rationalizing evil. You done made evil comfortable in your midst. Priesthood, because you're supposed to teach the difference between the clean and the unclean. That's an unclean person. That's a profane person. But you ain't doing that. You sitting back with your mouth closed, walking around here looking like a chump, because that's what you are. But you'll twist your face up when you see somebody that's standing up for the truth. I'm telling you, people have a tendency, Israel has a tendency to rationalize evil. They on record for loving to hear smooth things and utter deceit. You don't want no correction. That's why you're in so much trouble. Say, when a man's ways please God, he even make his enemies be at peace with him. Our enemies ain't at peace with us. They're supposed to be doing everything for us and in our behalf. But you walking around here scared to confront. It's been so many good things. I'm going to talk about some of the good things that we've experienced in this land. And as a people in a community, we've had some great times in this land. We even learned so much from being here. Everything ain't just been bad. It was times when the priesthood wasn't bad like that. You all done ushered in the Holy Spirit. They did a lot of things. But when it came down to the throwdown with the wicked, you turned into some chumps. Our people haven't heard the instructions, the laws, the universal laws that was from the foundation of the earth. And they count it as a strange thing. This is what the prophet Hosea says in the 8th chapter. Says, I done gave you the great things in the laws, but they count it as a strange thing because you have not taught them to the people. You were talking about you a priest. Was you just a priest to just stand up in some ceremonial position? To just do a wedding? What are you there for? Or just to have the title, a priest? You ain't no priest. You just ain't nothing. And I'm telling you, you ain't nothing. And this is why you dismissed. There's no priesthood anymore in this land. And you can rebuttal this if you want to. But let's go into the record. What are you doing to teach the people? What are you doing to correct the people? The people don't have no respect for you all. They don't have no kind of reverence for you all. You all can't tell them nothing because you have not endeared the people. They come to you in confidence and tell you something, and the next thing you know, everybody know about it. Because you're telling your wife, and she telling her friend, and they telling the friend, and your children is overhearing you, and you have betrayed their secrets, and they don't trust you because you have failed to win the confidence of the people because you reveal your sources, and you're not supposed to do that with your fat mouth self, running around here trying to act like you know something. And the worst person to tell is anybody. You're telling your best friend. And before you know it, everybody know a person's business. Or you get up on the weekend and you talking about it. Now the people don't trust you because you don't trust yourself. You don't trust each other. You fail in your moral obligation and your dereliction of duty as priest. In your slothful masquerade. You just slothful. You know what slothful is? You just walk around dragging all the time. Your clothes ain't never fitting you. Well, your title ain't fitting you. It ain't your clothes. You can be dressed neat, but your approach to teaching the people is slothful. You preaching and teaching what the people want to hear, what they want to hear, not what they should hear. This is what you do. You invade their privacy in the wrong way. You're just lazy, incompetent, mummified, and you're walking around like zombies, being directed by people who don't know as much as you were taught. Because I know what you were taught. I know what you were taught. I taught some of y'all, and you know that. But when it came down to backing up the truth, you all were some chumps. Talking about how bad you is, and you scared to even call out a pedophile. Come on now. You scared to say, give him 3 more chances. What, you got some tendencies or something? That you want to give him 3 chances? That's like cutting a man's wrist off. That's a thief. Cut his hand off. He go a hand up in the back. Let's give him 3 chances. Well, we already know that that hand that came up is a thief. If you talk about giving him 3 chances, I want to go into a historical, biblical precedent. Israel. We came out of Egypt. We were wandering in the wilderness for 40 years. 11-day journey took us 40 years because the death angel that was in Egypt followed Israel, the children of Israel, into the wilderness. Because his job wasn't just to get the Egyptians. The death angel came in the wilderness to finish the Hebrews off that was Egyptians. Just like it's going to finish off some of these spirits that's up in here now that are modern day still Negroes, still leaning toward Western tendencies, still doing the things that they were doing over there, that they were supposed to be purging themselves from and never did. Talking about, well, we came here to do certain things and to purify ourselves, but now, you know, we just didn't have enough time. How much time do it take you to say that I ain't gonna do this no more? Maybe like you are if you're an ex-convict, it only means that you not a convict no more. You didn't turn it around. You know, you're a Christian Hebrew. You got this concept that I can do what I want to do, and I can say I believe, and then I'm saved. But you got to do more than believe. You got to do something. You got to. You have an obligation as a person, as an individual, to be a light unto the nations. Your example. You cannot be a Christian Hebrew at the same time. You cannot say I worship Yah and I worship Jesus at the same time. That ain't gonna work. That's confusion. That's what it is. I'm going to go into the doctrine of Balaam, Numbers the 22nd chapter, because Balaam was the greatest sorcerer of that time in this region of the world, and he was hired by this king, Balak. He was hired by him to curse the Hebrews, because when he went up in the mountain and he seen Israel was coming through, when we came out of Egypt, we was undefeatable. Nothing could stop us. The army of Israel was unbeatable. They go to war, check it out, and not lose a man, and was destroying every nation that they was coming in contact with. Now you got to remember, they just came out of Egypt. Some people call it Kemet, Mizraim, but we just came out of there. So he knew that they was heading to his territory, his domain. So he got this sorcerer. He said, we can't beat them. He said, but I want you to curse them. This is Numbers the 22nd chapter to the 25th verse. 25th chapter. It's 3 chapters. I'm not going to go into it now, but I want you to quit being so lazy and do some investigation, priesthood. I ain't putting this on the people. You're supposed to read this, and you're supposed to bring it to the people in a way that they can understand it. And he took him up on this mountain, and he tried to curse Israel. He said, but he started blessing Israel, because the order that he's seen that the camp was in, the order, Israel had a certain order, the way that they set up their camp in the directions, the different directions, and the way that they had blast on the trumpets. This meant to take this portion of the camp down because they were getting ready to journey. This blast meant to break down this portion. This blast meant it was time to take down the tabernacle in the wilderness, to dismantle it, to move, because they were moving the whole time, these 40 years, just wandering around in a circle. But they were doing things too, but they were losing people, well, what we would call natural death. Because that whole generation had to die. Everybody over 20 didn't make it in but 2 people. That was Joshua and Caleb. Even Moses didn't get into the promised land. Like Dr. King, he said, I might not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight we as a people going to get to the promised land. He knew that he wasn't going. And Moses knew that he wasn't going either. For a mistake that he made in the wilderness. Now, he couldn't curse Israel. He started blessing him. He came back down. He said, I told you to curse him. I done gave you whatever you wanted. He said, I can't curse what God to bless now. He said, he said, I'm bad, but I ain't that bad. He said, I can't curse what he done blessed. He said, go back up. He said, I can't do it. He said, but this is what I can do. He said, I can tell you how they can curse themselves. He said, we're going to put a stumbling block before them. We're going to make them violate their laws. And then their deity, their God will not be with them, and they will lose access to his assistance. And that's what he did. He formulated a stratagem so Israel would curse themselves. So what he did, he went and got all these beautiful women, Midianite women. Oh, they was fine. He dressed them up. They got their perfume and put on their finest clothes. He got the finest women, their jewels, and they came in, and the men started mingling with them. They just dumped the sisters. They started dealing with the Midianites, they was black too. And they started dealing with them, but they wasn't supposed to mix with them people. They was from a different nation. And they started getting cursed. And Moses was perplexed. He didn't know what to do. Him, Aaron, and all of them. But you got to remember, Aaron was the one who led Israel in the procession of evil when they built the golden calf prior to this confrontation in the wilderness. He helped build the golden calf, so his record wasn't clean neither. So anyway, he's still perplexed. He don't know what to do. So here comes this prince from the tribe of Simeon. He come parading up in there, a prince. Guy's always been in some type of stuff, especially when it comes to women, even to this day. In our community, the princes is known for being womenizers. I ain't gonna go into that right now, but if they start talking stuff, I'm gonna pull their X-Files out. They know how to do it. He come up into the camp with a Midianite woman, go in his tent. And this brother said, I can't take no more, because we getting tore up, we getting fixed up. And he went in the tent and he killed both of them. Drove a spear through him. This is recorded into biblical history. And it says, Moses said, everybody that's on the side of the Lord, everybody that's on the side of God, come on this side. And everybody that ain't. And that day they killed 14,000 men who had slipped into that folly. And that stopped the plague. But the stumbling block was the women from a different nation that they brought in the midst of the people. And that's the only way, that's an illustration of today, what I'm talking about. Nobody can curse us as a people. We have to curse ourselves. But when we let an abomination stay in our midst, we on the collision course with destruction. When you got one pervert in the midst, priesthood, that has violated not one, not two, but several. That means many children. And the parents that are fearful, that are embarrassed and ashamed, that won't come forth. And you know, and repeatedly they do this. And you let them slide, and the brotherhood won't raise up. What kind of men are you all? That's why I say I'm going to start making balls for y'all. Because you're wearing BBs between your legs. You want to raise up and you want to attack those that's standing for right, you wrong. I don't care who you are. Whether you man, woman, child, misguided, misinformed, or whatever. If you don't stand against something like that, a man molesting a child, a defenseless child, you better be glad the conditions are presently like they are. Because you will go with them. You aiders and abettors. Because you don't know the God that we serve. You really need to read history. Because you all on grace and mercy. But it's going to run out one day. And it ain't, see, don't look at me like I'm the minister. I'm not no minister of the Ministry of Divine Justice. I'm just a spokesperson. I'm just on the council. The ministry of justice is too big. We don't have no one person talking about this is the minister. We ain't got no minister with no title like that. The Holy One of Israel, God, Yah, the supreme being, the omnipotent, the almighty, he's the minister of justice. Why? Because in the 61st chapter of Isaiah, the 8th verse, he revealed to the inspired prophet, he said, I'm Yah, I love justice. So if you don't love justice, if you haven't set up a standard, if you holding your peace, then you hating justice. You hating what God loves. That's why I say the wicked ain't going to understand. They ain't going to never understand. If you wicked, you ain't going to understand what I'm saying. If you don't understand, you just wicked. Look in the mirror and say, I'm wicked and I'm going to do my thing and I'm going to face my destiny. Because that's what you're going to face. See, the main problem that we are confronted with is that the priesthood has not been consistent in their teaching. Originally, the priests were rigidly taught to teach. They were taught to teach and given and allowed the most teaching time in the community. But the priests were not consistent with their teaching, and they were not able to innovate and come up with the practical things that related to the people in this day and time. They were given the keys to teach the people, but by being robotic and lazy and dedicated to men that they were supposed to be teaching, the priests were never supposed to be political. And this is where they made a mistake. And the priests were supposed to be those that help the people, not oppress the people. They were supposed to advise the leaders and tell them, look, you're out of bounds on this. You can't treat this person like this because you're in violation of universal guidelines. You can't do this. And they were supposed to keep them in check. And the priesthood had that power, but they didn't exercise it. They didn't continue to teach the people. They didn't continue to do that because they were just afraid. They just were afraid of what? You know, wasn't nobody going to beat them up, wasn't nobody going to kill them, but they were trying to win a popularity contest. This is what it was. But the truth ain't never popular. Anybody that speaks truth know that, because truth then entered into a life and death struggle with evil and lies and deception. And the whole world is rotating on the axis of a lie. We said that before. So you got people that are bound by truth, bound by prophecy, bound by divine instruction, but you got people that are bound by the spirit of error. You know, because these people that are satanically inspired, they're not going to never make no mistake and do what's right. These are your adversaries. Somebody cannot continue to come up and say, I'm sick. I'm just a creep because I'm sick. And you a chump and you go for that? If they sick? If you're sick, you need to go see a doctor. You know, we're not equipped to deal with you in your sickness. So you got to go to somebody that can deal with your morbid, perverted sickness. And you need to be packing up and getting out fast. That's what you need to be doing, not protected. You got more mercy than the Creator. Listen, did Moses, did Abraham's, when the three angels went down into Sodom, and Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed, and these men came to get the angels, these perverts came to get these men out of Lot's house, which was related to Abraham. What cure did he give? What did the three angels do to these perverts? Lot even said, look, leave these men alone. These are holy men. Take my daughters. Because Lot was caught up into that stuff too. He was just getting out on the mercy of who he was related to, because he said, if you could show me 10 righteous men. He got it all the way down to no righteous men could be found in Sodom. The three angels blinded all of them criminals. That was their pedophile protection program. They blinded them, and Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. Did Moses have a pedophile protection program? Joshua have one. He certainly didn't have one. Did any of the prophets of Israel, the warriors, did David have one? Did Solomon have one? Did Saul have one? Did any of the men in the scriptures, Old Testament, New Testament, have a pedophile protection program? Not one. But why do we have one here? Are we saying that we greater than the prophets? That we wiser than our forefathers? That we making not only the same mistakes, but the worst mistakes? But there is a biblical precedent to what was did with the Sodomites and everything that was in this land. It's not new. They were expelled to the borders of Israel. They couldn't come back in this land. They were hunted down. They were ran out of here because they were an abomination. And they in your midst, and you think you're going to be blessed? You think, it was said that we're going to take our problems with us. That's what was taught. And you had some of you chumps around and talking about, yeah, we got problems. We're going to take care of our problems with us. No, we ain't taking them problems. We might have a problem with somebody, a minor problem. They don't tie their shoes up. Or we can't stop them from drinking a beer. Or we can't stop them from eating a pizza. We can take them type of problems, and when they get sick or catch cancer or whatever from doing that, maybe then that'll prevent some others from doing it. But if you got a pervert in your midst, we're dealing with that right now. We ain't carrying that with us. We're going to deal with that situation right now. Because a pervert's mission, a pedophile's mission, and I'm harping on these pedophiles, is to create more pedophiles in his image. You got pedophiles walking around here. We're going to show their pictures so you'll know, the world will know who these pedophiles are. Because we just not calling out one. We calling out several pedophiles so you'll know who they are. The world needs to know who they are. We put them on these DVDs and we're going to call them out, whether they like it or not. Because you ain't going to do nothing. You got pedophiles up in here molesting children that don't even have no biological children. And they molesting children, and you chumps is letting them get away with it. You won't even speak out in opposition against it. You fraternize with them. You patronize them. You one of them. You an aider and abetter of them. You coward. Yeah, I'm calling you that. If you don't like it, too bad, chump. You let somebody mess with a baby, and you ain't doing nothing. It's not a week that go past that you don't hear about some pedophile being revealed in the Catholic Church, the Boy Scouts, somebody in England, somebody in Europe, somebody in America, somebody even in this country. But you trying to keep it a secret, talking about somebody airing out their dirty laundry, and you mad at the messenger who tells you that? priesthood, get up off of your behind and do something. If you don't do nothing but spit, do something. Thus saith Yah, you're a coward, and you're an enemy of truth, and you don't care nothing about your people. And this is the mistake of the ancient priests. They failed to make the difference between the clean and the unclean, the holy and the profane. It's been a long season that Israel has not had a teaching priest. 2 Chronicles 15 chapter, the 3rd verse. 59 times you haven't repeated it and gone over it and over it and over it and over it and over it until it becomes a mantra, until it sticks in your mind that it's wrong, that it's wicked, that it's evil, it's not right, it's immoral, and it'll destroy any people over a period of time. This is going to be a one-generation struggle. The kingdom of Yah at Jerusalem is supposed to be the shining golden cup sitting up on the mountain, and you got criminals in your midst like that? That means that you've been infiltrated by the sons of Satan. And you're too cowardly to confront them, and you're making evil comfortable in our midst. And when you stand up against it, and the whole community don't stand up against it, if it takes a whole community to raise a child, then certainly it takes a whole community to protect the child. And you won't protect your own children, these are your children? What's wrong with you? You cowards? Yeah, I'm calling you some cowards. You don't like it? Come and prove to me you ain't a coward. Come and stand with the Ministry of Justice and root these dogs out of here. I don't care who they are. We need to get them out and get them out fast. We take it on anybody that want to volunteer to come and with us and to get these bandits out of here. I don't care if you're 11 years old. We got criminals that beat up children. And nothing is did about it. Not they children. They don't even have children. And they beating on children in front of children. What kind of mess is that? And you cowards sitting back, the same criminal that is a pervert, a pedophile, a child abuser, molester, you got him pulling security. What kind of foolishness is that? Israel's security is doing what's right. That's your real security. You walking around with a stick talking about you on HaCohane. HaCohane means security. You ain't on security. You insecurity. Because you making us all insecure with your perverted self, walking around here thinking that you securing something. Who gonna listen to you anyway? What you securing? Somebody, area where somebody getting molested, and here's this chump talking about, I was about to be a government official until that stuff came out on me about I was a pedophile. I got revealed. A minister, official of what? Satan? You one of Satan's officials? You already that. You don't know nobody have to anoint you to be a Satan official. You one of Satan boys, or you the police or something. Priesthood. Do something. Stand up. Be men. You led us into captivity before. You trying to lead us back into captivity, priesthood? By not making a difference between the holy and the profane, the clean and the unclean. You are not repeating it over and over and over again till people get tired of hearing and say, okay, I'm going to do right. Or I'm going to leave because I'm tired of hearing your mouth talking about do right. Don't do this. Priesthood, that's your charge. Because if not, you're going to be cursed. Therefore, you dismissed until until you do something. You ain't no priest. I don't care what they call you. I can say this with authority because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm crying out for the abominations that's in the midst of this camp. And I know why the people are doing what they're doing, because you not teaching. Thus said Yah, or practicing the universal laws, priesthood, form of priesthood. Quit being chumps. Get up and do something. I'm challenging you all. Do something. Now, you can say that, you don't like what I'm saying. Well, come to my house. You know where I live. I ain't hiding. I'm out in the open. And come and tell me you don't like what I said. Or you come and say, hey, I'm with you on this. But you ain't got to be with me. Be with Yah. You ain't got to join. I ain't looking for no following. I ain't campaigning. Just do what you're supposed to do. Because I know what you think about me. You think I don't know? I know what all y'all think about me. He always troubling us. He always got something to say. For 35 years, I've been in opposition to everything wrong up in here. I ain't never stopped. Some of you officials ain't never liked me, because I peeped you from the beginning. That you was corrupt, you wasn't right, and you was wicked. And you ain't never liked me. But the day it came, this is Judgment Day. It's time to speak out. Everybody should speak out for the wrong that's been did to them by you all. And the priesthood for not teaching, because it's not the fault of the people, it's the priesthood's fault for not teaching the people between the holy and the profane, the clean and the unclean. It's your fault that the people don't know. Don't get mad at the student if you don't invite the student to the class. If you don't see the student, you're supposed to teach the student. You're supposed to be an example in the midst of the people. You're not doing that. You're not doing nothing but ostracizing people. Talking about he off, she off. Be a man. This message is going out to let the world know that there's some spirits here in this land that are not sitting back accepting everything stupid, everything foul, and is not taking a position against evil. Because Israel has always had someone to bring them a message, a succession of messengers to tell them the truth. It's never been without that, because the God we serve is just, and he's not going to do nothing to you until first he warns you. Now, you ain't got enough warnings. Here, you ain't got enough warnings. You can't say nothing. Clean up your own house before you start talking about going out teaching somebody. You can't teach nobody. Teach your families. Teach your wife. Teach your children. That's you. They're your responsibility. Teach the people. Quit sitting back murmuring, talking about, he ain't talking right. He against the Messiah. He against the kingdom. You don't define who against the kingdom. Say this kingdom gonna break in pieces all kingdoms. This nation is being broken up, not the kingdom being broken up. You can sit back and say, well, if you don't like it, you need to leave. I'm not going nowhere. You leave. Because I don't like what you're doing. You leave. You don't tell me to leave. I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to be a bone in your throat, a thorn in your side, and a foot in your behind. As long as I'm here. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to instigate, provoke, agitate, and incite for God, the God of Israel. I'm going to say what he needs, what he wants me to say. Not what you want me to say. You don't wind me up like no robot and tell me, go say this, go say that, repeat this slogan, say that, do this, walk here, lie to the people, cover this up. It didn't come from me. You ain't gonna get me like that. You ain't gonna never count me among the broken men. Never. None of y'all. You're not breaking my spirit. I was born for this day. My life was spared for this day. You don't know nothing about me or where I come from, but I was born for this day to confront evil and wickedness. I'm not the only one like this, but my mouth is just big enough to say it. I'm just a spokesman for the ministry of justice. Just me. And I come in the spirit of humility. It may sound like I'm wolfing, and I am wolfing. But it's for a good cause. Stand up and be men, priesthood.
Hey, Be Mana